Have you ever stopped to think that our planet holds secrets so incredible they seem like fiction? Imagine an Antarctic waterfall that bleeds, islands where time literally jumps 20 hours ahead, or a lake so pink it looks straight out of a fantasy movie. Our Earth is filled with phenomena that defy common logic. Let's embark together on a journey through the most extraordinary corners and geographic curiosities that will certainly leave you amazed. Starting our journey through the unbelievable, let's visit Antarctica to witness one of nature's most impressive spectacles. Imagine seeing a blood-red waterfall flowing over white ice. Sounds like a horror movie, right? That's exactly what happens at Blood Falls, a reddish waterfall flowing from a subglacial lake. The coloration comes from high iron concentrations in the water which, when exposed to oxygen, oxidizes and creates this blood-like appearance. The most fascinating part? This water has been isolated from the outside world for over 1 million years, without contact with sunlight or oxygen, creating a unique microbial ecosystem that manages to survive in extreme conditions resembling those that might exist on other planets. Speaking of strange phenomena, have you ever imagined walking calmly after a storm and suddenly finding live fish scattered on the ground? In Honduras, this happens regularly in an event known as lluvia de peces, or rain of fish. This phenomenon occurs at least once a year, sometimes up to 4 times, always after heavy storms. The most accepted explanation is that waterspouts or powerful winds suck up fish from nearby bodies of water and carry them before dumping them with the rain. What's intriguing is that the distance to the oceans and the specific types of fish found make this theory questionable. Some locals believe it's a divine miracle, while scientists continue to search for definitive explanations. And what if I told you there's a lake as pink as bubblegum? Lake Hillier in Australia is one of the most stunning natural wonders on the planet. Surrounded by a rim of white sand and contrasted against the deep blue ocean in the background, this lake maintains its vibrant pink color even when its water is collected in containers. The secret behind this spectacular coloration lies in a unique combination: high salt concentration and the presence of special microalgae called Dunaliella salina, which produce a red pigment to protect themselves from intense salinity. Unlike other pink lakes that change color according to weather conditions, Lake Hillier maintains its constant pink hue throughout the year, regardless of temperature or season. Between the United States and Russia lie the Diomede Islands, a pair of small islands in the Bering Strait. What makes them extraordinary is that, despite being separated by only 2.4 miles, they're on different days. Big Diomede belongs to Russia, while Little Diomede belongs to the USA, and between them runs the international date line. This means that looking from one island to the other, you're literally seeing the future or the past. That's why Big Diomede is called Tomorrow Island and Little Diomede Yesterday Island. During winter, when the sea freezes, it would theoretically be possible to time travel by walking from one day to another. But since the Cold War, this route has been strictly controlled. And speaking of different calendars, did you know that in Ethiopia it's still 2017? The African country uses a unique calendar with 13 months, the last one called Pagum, with only 5 or 6 days. While the rest of the world celebrates 2025, Ethiopians continue in 2017. This is because their calendar, based on the ancient Coptic calendar, started counting years approximately 7 years and 8 months after the Gregorian calendar we use. If you're looking for isolation, you might want to check out Point Nemo, officially known as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. This is the most remote place on Earth, located in the South Pacific Ocean, an impressive 1,670 miles from the nearest land in any direction. The name Nemo means nobody in Latin, quite appropriate for such a lonely place. The most curious fact is that, due to its extreme isolation, the humans closest to Point Nemo aren't on Earth, but in space. The astronauts aboard the International Space Station, which orbits about 258 miles above. The location also serves as a spacecraft cemetery, where deactivated space vehicles are directed to safely fall. Speaking of geographic mysteries, have you heard of Bermeja Island? This piece of land, supposedly located in the Gulf of Mexico, appeared on maps for centuries since the 16th century. The problem? When modern explorers went looking for it, they found nothing but open ocean. Theories about its disappearance vary. Erroneous observations by ancient cartographers, rising sea levels, or even conspiracy theories alleging that the CIA eliminated the island to expand the United States' exclusive economic zone. The mystery remains unsolved, making Bermeja one of the most intriguing geographic enigmas. Imagine a lake that constantly boils, like a giant pot on the stove. On the island of Dominica lies the Boiling Lake, one of the world's largest thermal lakes. With temperatures reaching 197 degrees Celsius, this natural cauldron is actually a flooded fumarole, an opening in the Earth's crust through which volcanic gases heat underground water to extreme temperatures. Its mist-covered surface and constantly boiling waters create a surreal scene, as if someone had left a huge pot boiling. The lake is so dangerous that several people have lost their lives trying to get too close to its unstable shores. If boiling, lakes are scary, what about a lake that can kill instantly without even touching you? Lake Nyos in Cameroon is one of the world's most dangerous lakes due to an invisible threat: carbon dioxide. In 1986, a sudden and massive release of CO2 from the lake created an invisible, suffocating cloud that engulfed nearby villages, instantly killing nearly 1,800 people and over 3,500 animals. The gas, heavier than air, descended down the slopes, like a silent avalanche, suffocating everything in its path. Currently, degassing systems have been installed to prevent another catastrophe, but the lake remains a deadly gas, time bomb. If you're in a hurry, you might be interested in the world's shortest commercial flight. Loganair operates between the islands of Westray and Papa Westray in Scotland, covering just 7 miles. This aerial blink of an eye is officially scheduled to last 90 seconds, but in good conditions, the record stands at just 53 seconds. That's less time than it takes to fasten your seatbelt or listen to safety instructions. And don't expect in-flight service. You'll be landing before they can even offer you a snack. The flight exists mainly to serve local residents and doctors who need to travel between the remote islands. Wyoming, famous for its vast open landscapes and incredibly low population density, holds a curious fact. There are only 2 escalators in the entire state, both located in Casper, inside separate banks. That's right. In a state covering almost 98,000 square miles, you'll find more cowboys than escalators. A single shopping mall in any U.S. city might have several sets of escalators, compared to Wyoming, which has more shopping malls than escalators. The predominantly rural landscape and low demand for multi-story buildings explain this peculiarity. Ever heard of the slash? It's one of the strangest international border features in the world, covering the entire length of the US-Canada border. The slash is a 20-foot wide strip of land cutting through dense forests, mountains, and remote wilderness areas. It's like a giant invisible wall, created to physically mark the border where natural landmarks weren't sufficient. The 2 countries are responsible for funding the maintenance of 10 feet on each side of the center line, ensuring trees are regularly removed. Legally, not a single tree can remain in this strange no-man's land, creating a visible scar that extends for thousands of miles. Imagine finding a giant, flaming pit in the middle of the desert, burning continuously for over 50 years. In Turkmenistan lies the Darvaza gas crater, also known as the Gates of Hell. This natural gas field collapsed in 1971, creating a massive crater in the heart of the Karakum Desert. In an attempt to prevent the spread of methane gas, geologists set fire to the crater, expecting it to burn out in a few weeks. More than 5 decades later, it continues to burn, casting an otherworldly glow that can be seen from miles away. Today, it has become a bizarre, tourist attraction, drawing visitors eager to witness the never-ending inferno. Speaking of hell, have you ever wanted to say you've been to hell and back? Now you can. Hell, an unincorporated community in Michigan, USA, is literally called Hell, offering visitors the chance to get married in hell or even become mayor of hell for a day. The town was founded in 1838 by George Reeves. Legend has it that when Michigan became a state, Reeves was asked what he thought the town should be called, and he replied, "I don't care. You can call it Hell if you want to." And the name became official on October 13th, 1841. Today, the small community cheerfully embraces its peculiar name, with various themed attractions such as Scream's Ice Cream and the opportunity to receive an official certificate that you've been to hell and back. And what if answering the question, "Where are you from?" sounded more like a philosophical debate than a simple answer? Welcome to Y, Arizona, a town with a name so bizarre it causes confusion. The name originates from a Y-shaped intersection of two highways that originally defined the town's location. Although road developments have altered the shape of the intersection, the town has kept its unique name, ensuring it remains one of the most bizarrely named places in the world. Residents often need to show their driver's licenses to prove they really live in a town called Y. Near the coast of Colombia lies Santa Cruz del Islote, the most densely populated island in the world. This tiny island is the length of 2 football fields and houses between 800 and 1,200 people. With no space for streets or large buildings, houses are tightly packed, creating a unique, self-sustaining community where every inch is occupied. Despite residents adopting a peaceful lifestyle, Santa Cruz del Islote has a population density approximately 4 times greater than Manhattan, which is truly impressive. Residents primarily live off fishing and tourism, with children going to schools on neighboring islands. At night, when the lights are turned on, the entire island glows like a small constellation in the ocean. Did you know the Netherlands has more bicycles than people? With a population of about 17.5 million people, the country has around 23 million bicycles. That's nearly 2 bicycles per person. Cycling is deeply rooted in Dutch culture, thanks to the country's flat terrain, well-maintained bike paths, and cycling-friendly policies. In cities like Amsterdam, bicycles often outnumber cars, and dedicated cycling highways facilitate commuting without ever needing a car. Local authorities have created giant underground parking facilities exclusively for bicycles, some with capacity for more than 10,000 two-wheeled vehicles. You've probably wondered about those mysterious lines in the Peruvian desert, the Nazca Lines. A collection of over 700 enormous geoglyphs in Peru's Nazca Desert were created by the Nazca civilization between 500 BCE and 500 CE. These enormous shapes, ranging from geometric patterns to detailed animal figures, were formed by removing the pebbles from the desert floor to reveal the lighter soil beneath. Their true purpose remains a mystery, with theories suggesting they served as astronomical markers or religious symbols visible only from above. The precision and scale of these lines are even more impressive when we consider they were created without modern technology or aerial vision, representing one of the world's most extraordinary archaeological wonders. What if there was an island so dangerous that it's illegal to visit? North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman Islands, an Indian archipelago in the Bay of Bengal, and is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. They have lived in complete isolation for thousands of years, fiercely resisting any attempt at external contact. Attempts to approach the island have been met with arrows and spears, making it one of the most forbidden places on the planet. To protect both the Sentinelese and foreigners from potential conflict or disease, the Indian government has strictly prohibited all visits, and entering these waters could cost you your life. The island's population is estimated to be between 50 and 200 individuals, but nobody knows for certain, as they reject any form of communication with the outside world. Did you know that beneath the busy streets of Paris lies a hidden world? The catacombs are an underground ossuary housing the skeletal remains of more than 6 million people, carefully arranged in eerie, artistic patterns. Originally created to solve the problem of the city's overcrowded cemeteries in the 18th century, the catacombs are now a creepy but fascinating reminder of the city's deep, layered history. Only a small portion is open to the public, less than 1.2 miles of the more than 186 miles of tunnels that form this underground maze. The bones are arranged artistically, forming patterns, symbols, and even philosophical messages about mortality. What if I told you there's a city where people still live in caves? Nestled in the heart of Turkey, Cappadocia is famous for its breathtaking landscapes and ancient cave dwellings carved directly into the soft, volcanic rock. These rock-hewn homes date back thousands of years, and, incredibly, many people still reside in them today. Although these historic caves have been modernized with electricity, plumbing, and even Wi-Fi, the cave-like underground structures provide a unique glimpse into a living piece of history. Plus, with hot air balloons floating above the fairy chimneys at sunrise, it looks like something straight out of a dream. Here's a fact that seems to contradict logic. Saudi Arabia imports sand. It may seem counterintuitive that a country with vast deserts imports sand, but it's a matter of the type of sand. Desert sand, due to its wind-worn smoothness, isn't ideal for construction, which requires rougher sand like that found in riverbeds or on coastlines. Saudi Arabia primarily imports sand from countries like Belgium, the USA, and even Italy. So, while the deserts seem endless, the true foundation of their skyscrapers and megacities comes from thousands of miles away. It's a reminder that not all sand is created equal and how globalization affects even the most basic resources. In Death Valley, California, these huge rocks are known as sailing stones. They weigh hundreds of pounds and appear to move on their own, leaving long, sinuous trails etched into the dry lake bed. For decades, this strange phenomenon puzzled scientists, prompting some of the wildest theories, with some people even claiming they were moved by aliens. However, the mystery was finally solved when researchers discovered that during rare winter conditions, a thin layer of ice forms beneath the rocks. When the sun rises and the ice begins to crack, strong winds push the rocks across the slippery surface, creating their hypnotic trails. Even though we now understand the science, witnessing these sailing stones in person still feels like something out of a sci-fi movie. These trees look like they're growing upside down. The baobabs of Madagascar and Africa are some of the most bizarrely appearing trees on Earth. With their massive swollen trunks and thin branches, they look as if they had been planted upside down, with their roots reaching toward the sky. These ancient giants can live for thousands of years and store large amounts of water in their trunks, allowing them to survive in severe arid climates. Despite their bizarre appearance, some of these iconic trees are estimated to be over 2,500 years old. Locally called trees of life, they provide shelter, food, and water for communities and animals, especially during dry seasons. A single baobab can store up to 32,000 gallons of water in its trunk. Speaking of bizarre trees, in Russia's Kaliningrad region lies the mysterious dancing forest, a pine grove with trunks twisted into bizarre shapes of loops, spirals, and curves. Unlike most trees that grow straight, the pines here are distorted into strange shapes, making them appear as if they were frozen in the middle of a dance. Scientists have speculated that wind patterns, soil instability, or even caterpillar activity might have caused this unusual growth, but no definitive answer exists. The dancing forest remains one of the strangest and most bizarre forests on Earth, attracting tourists fascinated by the surreal spectacle of contorted trunks. Known as Snake Island, Ilha de Queimada Grande is one of the most terrifying and bizarre places on Earth. Located off the coast of Brazil, this small island houses thousands of highly venomous snakes, particularly the deadly golden lancehead viper, Bothrops insularis. The venom of the golden lancehead is so potent it can cause rapid tissue destruction and even death within hours. The island is completely uninhabited for obvious reasons and is so dangerous that the Brazilian government has made Snake Island strictly off-limits, except for a few scientists with special permits. Researchers estimate there are between 1 and 5 deadly snakes per square meter on this 106-acre island, making it possibly the place with the highest concentration of venomous serpents in the world. Imagine a perfectly round void in the ocean, so huge it can be seen from space. The Great Blue Hole, located off the coast of Belize, is one of Earth's most impressive natural phenomena. This massive underwater sinkhole is over 984 feet in diameter and 407 feet deep. Formed during the last ice age, the Great Blue Hole was once a vast limestone cave system before collapsing, leaving behind this frightening circular abyss. From above, it looks like a perfect dark blue circle in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, like a portal to another planet. The site is a paradise for experienced divers, although the descent to the dark, oxygen-deprived bottom is not for the faint-hearted. Have you heard of a country without a capital city? Nauru, one of the world's smallest nations, has the unique distinction of not having an official capital. This tiny island country in the Pacific Ocean covers only 8.1 square miles and has a population of about 10,000 people. Government functions are carried out in Yaren, a district often confused with the capital, but which lacks official status. Of all the countries in the world, Nauru is the only one without a designated capital, making it a truly unusual case in global geography. Additionally, it's the third smallest country in the world by area, after Vatican City and Monaco. Did you know that Mount Chimborazo is actually the point closest to the moon on Earth? It's closer than Mount Everest. While Everest is the highest peak above sea level, Mount Chimborazo sits along the equatorial bulge, meaning its summit is the farthest point from the center of the Earth. This makes it about 1.2 miles closer to space than Everest, despite being over 8,500 feet lower in elevation. A bizarre reminder that highest and farthest aren't always the same thing. Because of this, technically, Chimborazo is Earth's tallest mountain if we measure from the center of the planet, not from sea level. And finally, did you know that China is hit by hurricanes more than any other country in the world? Since 1970, China has been hit by more than 172 hurricanes, also known as typhoons in this region. One of the most devastating was Typhoon Saomai in 2006, which hit the mainland with winds exceeding 170 mph. It was the strongest typhoon to hit China in more than 50 years, causing widespread flooding and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. With its vast coastline and exposure to the Pacific, China continues to be one of the most hurricane-prone nations on the planet. And there you have it, 30 bizarre and fascinating geographic facts. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our new geography content. See you in the next video.